You may remember I started working on this little vampire-themed bullet hell top-down shooter a few months ago, and believe it or not, although I haven't uploaded in like 3 months, I did not abandon that project. It's definitely not what it used to be, and I went through a ton of iterations. But recently, I finally completed my game, so now I gotta make a YouTube video to advertise it so I got enough downloads. So, without further ado, let's get into the painstaking process of how I made my most recent game, Amalgamations of the Abyss. So I don't want to bore you guys with the iterations of the game that I never completed, or even the month gap between me quitting the original Vampire project and starting the new Boss Rush project, which I ended up releasing, so let's quickly just zoom through this. Around mid-September, I was starting to lose faith in the Vampire-themed project. Some of the mechanics work terribly, and will probably make the fingers of low-end laptop players quite literally get third-degree burns just because of how performance-heavy some of the things were, even though they didn't need to be. I had no clue how to design a melee combat system, which would be like the Vampire's Bite, even with the help of tutorials. And trust me, making a melee combat system is much harder than it looks. And just in general, the game was starting to just feel like a boring and non-fun experience to play. There were a lot of other technical issues, like how I would make difficulty scale properly without having 50 million enemies spawning by wave 12, but I won't get into them because it'd be just really boring. Thing is, I would have to restart the entire project to actually make this game more or less sellable, or sellable for free, without restarting the project. So restart the project I did. At first, I didn't want to completely ditch the idea of a badass vampire eating people and flying around as a bat, so I thought that my game, but with like a linear progression system, would be quite cool. My idea was that the vampire wants to infiltrate some sort of mineshaft that's built inside of the body of a decomposing, giant, godlike entity, infested with power-hungry humans, that wanted to harvest ichor, which is definitely not a blatant ripoff of the plot of the Owl House. So maybe the vampire wanted to become hella powerful by consuming this blood, since that's what vampires do. So you would go around the corpse of said giant, killing humans and fighting bosses that would also be other humans, but high on ichor, because ichor would basically be like steroids, but magical and 100 times stronger, amplifying all of the user's traits. But sadly I realized that the bat mechanic works horribly in a linear level type situation, so I had to dump that idea, although I loved it. Next I had an idea for a game that was similar to the original idea, where you played as a farmer who's defending his crops from many mutant insects that want to eat them. The only difference between the original game idea was that you didn't have any melee weapons, which was my main problem. You had a shotgun, and maybe if I even had time, I would add many other weapons such as assault rifles and ray guns that you could buy. You would get this money, or points, by planting crops that would grow and slowly generate money. But the bugs would go and try to destroy these crops, which would make your income go down, and reach the threshold by not planting enough, or by having enough bugs destroy your plants. You'd go bankrupt and lose the game. So basically it was like Plants vs Zombies combined with Call of Duty, Zombies combined with Stardew Valley, but like ultra bullet hell, like Enter the Gungeon. I didn't get very far. I liked the idea, but I just felt like it was way too big and I wanted to work on some smaller projects so I could get noticed and like make some short but really fun experiences. Around this time I played Deltarune and Undertale for the first time, and I personally thought that the combat system was quite cool despite it being turn-based combat, which I usually despise. So I wanted to create a combat system similar to that, although without the turns and just, you know, bullet hell as usual. Finally, over a month later, it's mid to late October, and I had a genius idea. I want to make a boss rush game. In the final week of the very first prototype of the vampire game, I made a boss, the hunter one that I teased in the original devlog, and I personally really enjoyed designing them. You just have to make a bunch of different attack patterns that spawn in cycles randomly. And it's not that challenging, and it's really fun to just design different bullets with special properties and just weird and interesting attacks that would make the players struggle and think how you would dodge that. Plus, I always find bosses in games very memorable, so I thought, what if the whole game was a boss? Then the whole game would be memorable, right? Well, past me was quite stupid, undoubtedly even stupider than present me. I wonder how such a human could even exist, even challenging my lack of intelligence. I bet whoever was that dumb must be real embarrassed right now. Wait, hold on. So let's make this over 2 month unnecessarily long process quick. I took out a piece of paper and drew some boss ideas. For some reason, I thought that that was more than enough planning, and as you see in this clip I made here, when I was setting up the project, I thought using this planning, I could finish the week in under 1 week. I was really stupid, as I said. So I had an idea for 4 bosses, a fairly easy mage dude, a floating face that was strongly inspired by the evil AI squid from Jonas Tyroller's game Will You Snail, a worm-like boss, like the ones in Terraria, despite every Terrarian on the planet, hating them, and finally a boss that was so big they couldn't even see it, and it would really just try to hit you with this big like evil tentacle, then that's how you damage it, just shooting at the tentacle. Then I took the Hunter boss's code that I already made, imported it into the new projects, and proceeded to do necessary playtests for the next week, even though I already polished the boss in my other game. Next, so the arena looked a bit less bland, I created this ritual circle thing and made it spin in the background very slowly, and also added a nearly invisible particle emitter that just made the background feel a bit more alive because there were little like particles moving around, using, of course, Unity's particle system. A great system for adding particles and special effects to liven up any possible scene you could have in the powerful Unity game engine, at least in 2005. God, I've been waiting to do that for such a long time. Anyways, time to get back to me being pissy about my past self again. So this is how it looked so far. I thought it was great. My dad said that it was impossible, but I just said like, damn bro, like that's cool and all, but I don't remember asking. Not actually, but I told him that I wanted only skilled bullet hell veterans to play my game. But then I later realized that my game is more than difficult, even for bullet hell veterans, and it's just that I spent so many hours playtesting it, it just became second nature for me. Plus, since I don't have that many subscribers, that basically just leave like 3 people who watch my videos and actually pass or even try to play the game. Speaking of which, you already know, you should subscribe. I've been growing significantly, and I'm currently trying to reach my sub goal by the end of the year. A simple 100 million subscribers. Come on guys, I know you can do it. We're only like, I don't know, I'm bad at math. Like, 500 million away, yeah, something like that. So now it's time for the next boss, face creature thing. Let's just get right to the point, I don't want to waste your time. This boss fucking sucked, and I scrapped him almost immediately. So yeah, let's get to the next boss, the worm thing. Oh yeah, the worm that later took on the name Morena, which is just lamprey in Latin because that's basically just how I get all my cool sounding names. Works surprisingly well, you should try it out. Almost every possible word that can be translated in Google Translate to Latin comes out as cool or scientific sounding. Like, I know Google Translate sucks, but who's gonna spell check your things? The Romans? Basically, for this boss, I thought it'd be cool if instead of attacking you directly, she would go in a circle, cutting you off from a part of the arena, making your space to dodge and move around much smaller. Basically pulling off that good old Slither.io circle strat, and funny little side note, the Slither.io circling behavior was generated completely naturally using the code I wrote, which took way too long to make. So instead of directly attacking you like the first boss, she would summon in these smaller versions of herself, and also spawn in these powerful attacks that would cover up the entire arena, that you would have to dodge while she's, circling you, while your arena is tiny, you're just, you're making these micro movements just to dodge those massive projectiles. I was worried that it might be a bit too hard, but right now all my players are complaining how much harder the first boss is compared to the second one, and how they should switch places. And of course, I won't do that, but it's just a little funny thing that I thought was just kind of fun to mention. Also, yes, if you're wondering, I did just trace the Terraria Eater World sprite, and then kind of stretch it out to make the Morena segment part. Please don't bore me to V-logic. But then, disaster struck. I got extreme burnout. I didn't feel like working on anything too intensely in Unity for like 3 to even 5 weeks. I did a lot of other dumb things, like tried to create a mod as massive and chaotic as Ore Spawn for Minecraft, which I might make a video on whenever I finish it, if I do of course. But I hardly ever worked on the game in Unity, and when I did, I didn't work on it much. Oh hell no, not again. It's a 9-foot-tall, skinless humanoid corpse with glazed over, pale, yellow, faintly glowing eyes that whispers of the dark days before time. But I'm busy working on my Minecraft mod that doesn't follow any particular theme, yet expands the progression by over 7 times. Yeah, but I still have time. It's not like I'm gonna make Cyberpunk 2077, but it's in the grim North Pole with the political conflicts. What? No way. Halloween was just like a week ago, right? Oh Alright, well, damn. It's already nearly mid-December somehow. And I do want to make a Christmas game. Oh, and plus the Skinless Corpses Implorer wants me to finish the game or something. I have an idea, though. Instead of postponing the game just by a tiny bit so I could release it in the new year, let's try to finish the game in 3 days working on it over 5 hours a day that will have disastrous effects on your body, and then do the same with the Christmas game since I won't have time. So, with the power of pure determination and the threats of an interdimensional being that watches over me and knows my every single move, let's start! I start working on the final boss, named Malus, which means evil or something in Latin. He wouldn't be too hard to make, since at this point I'm just really lazy and I'm dreading to finish the project, so I can just copy paste a ton of different effects that I already made. And so, for inspiration, I really loved Azrael Dreamer's lightning attacks in Undertale. You know how they seem really impactful. They like, you know, blast down to like create this cool like zap noise, right? No spoilers though. This is totally not me just trying to shorten the video because it's getting really long and I'm getting lazy of editing it. So yeah, just go play the game and find out how I got inspiration from Azrael Dreamer. And just like that, it's done. Hell no. I need to make a UI. I need proper scene-to-scene teleportation and much more back-end things. But I don't want to bore you with that, so yeah. I slapped together a main menu in a single evening, made some cross-level teleportation, just fixed some bugs, and I mean, it's basically it. I didn't have time to make a tutorial, sadly, but you can just go onto my itch.io page and find the controls there. It's not optimal, but yeah, like, you will need them, and just check it out. And so with all that said, Amalgamations of this, it is done. It feels good. It's not my proudest work, but I feel like if anyone is a fan of difficult bullet hells, they'll definitely enjoy this. There's a link in the description of this video to play the game, and also a link to my Instagram account and Discord server. That's kind of under construction, but you can still like, join it and like playtest or recommend video ideas. Also, the Christmas game that I mentioned will be coming soon, hopefully by Christmas, but to be honest, like I can't even promise at this point.